Let's go to example 2. Example 2 goes, the roots of the equation, 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0 are alpha and beta. Find the values of part A, alpha squared plus beta squared, part B, alpha plus 1 into beta plus 1, part C, alpha minus 1 into beta minus 1, part D, alpha out of beta plus beta out of alpha, part E, alpha cubed plus beta cubed. So let's look at the solution. So before we go to the solution, I can read for you, I can echo for you the question. The roots of the equation 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0 and alpha and beta. Find the values of part A, alpha squared plus beta squared, part B, alpha plus 1 into beta plus 1, part C, alpha minus 1 into beta minus 1, part D, alpha out of beta plus beta out of alpha. Then part E is talking about alpha cubed plus beta cubed. So when you are given the roots of the equation, you can see that the equation which is there, the equation which has been given is 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. And I said before you proceed, first check, is x squared having a coefficient of 1? If it is not having a coefficient of 1, then first divide throughout by the number which is attached to it to have a coefficient of 1. So what I'm going to do, our x squared is having a coefficient of 2. The first step is divide throughout by 2, such that we can remain with a coefficient of 1. Dividing by 2, by 2, by 2. We are remaining with x squared plus 3 out of 2x minus 4 divided by 2, we are remaining with the 2 equals 0. Then from there, then we are supposed now to look at sum of roots. It comes from comparing with x squared plus b out of ax plus c out of a equals 0. So we are going to have sum of roots, because now the roots were given as alpha and what? And beta. When we are talking about the sums, we are going to add the 2. We are going to have alpha plus beta. You can see here, it is bearing a positive. It means we are going to have as negative 3 out of 2. We are now going also to have product of roots. When I say PDT, I'm talking about the products. That means we are going to multiply the 2 alpha beta, which is taking as negative 2. Then from there, we are going to start with our first question, which is there. It is alpha squared plus beta squared as our part A. Part A is saying alpha squared plus beta squared. Then, as we are proving these useful identities, we had the identity talking about alpha squared plus beta squared, which was given as alpha plus beta, the whole of it squared, minus 2 alpha beta. But we know alpha plus beta, we have already got them. Alpha plus beta is automatically negative 3 out of 2 from our equation. Negative 3 out of 2, the whole of it squared minus 2 into. Do we know alpha beta? Alpha beta, which is the product, is given as a negative 2. Then we are free to expand and apply our rules which we follow when we are expanding. Negative 3 squared, you are getting 9 out of, what is the 2 squared? 4. A negative times a negative, we are coming out with a positive plus 1. This is like out of 1. Can we find the LCM? The LCM is 4. 4 divided by 4, we are getting 1. 1 times the 9, we are coming out with 9 plus 4 divided by 4, we are 4 divided by 1, we are coming out with 4, times the 2, we are getting 8. So when we try to add, we are getting 17 out of 4, which is our alpha squared plus beta squared. Then we have already scored that one at a maximum point. So we are now moving to part B. Part B is saying find the value of alpha plus 1 again into beta plus 1. What is the first step? The first step is first open the brackets, expand it. You can use layman's understanding. How do we expand? The first number is alpha into beta plus 1. Then there is plus 1 into beta plus 1. So can we open very well? Alpha times beta, we are coming out with alpha beta plus alpha times 1, alpha, plus 1 times beta, beta, plus 1 times 1, 1. But do we know alpha beta? Alpha beta is automatically, check here, alpha beta is our product, which is given as negative 2. So we are substituting negative 2 plus, see here, alpha plus beta. These are what we call the sum of roots, which is given as negative 3 out of 2. We shall say plus negative 3 out of 2, then plus 1. Then we are free to collect like terms. Can say negative 2 plus 1, that is already negative 1, minus 3 out of 2. This is out of 1. We find the LCM. What is the lowest common factor of 1 and 2? Automatically it is a 2. 2 divided by 1, we are getting a 2. Times the negative 1, we are coming out with negative 2 minus 2 divided by 2, 1. Times the 3, that. So what is it? We are getting negative 5 out of 2, which is given as alpha plus 1 into beta plus 1. You have already scored that one to the maximum point on it. So when those numbers come like that, I expect you to buy the idea of using the useful identities which you have already given to you. So we are now proceeding to part C. We are now moving to part C. We are now moving to part C. We are moving to part C. We are moving to part C. Part C goes, we are getting the value of alpha minus 1 into beta minus 1. So we are getting alpha minus 1 into beta minus 1. The same story. We expand it using layman's what? Understanding. You start with the first number into the second bracket. Follow the signs very, very serious and always go slowly. Don't just rush. When you rush, you'll end up making a mistake which you could not have called for. So we shall say this is alpha into beta minus 1, again minus 1 into beta minus 1. So can we open up the brackets? Alpha times beta, we are getting alpha beta. Alpha times 1, that is minus alpha. A negative times beta, you're getting negative beta. A negative times a negative, you're getting positive 1. So can we go ahead and we factor? You can see here, a negative and negative, there's something which is common, which we need to first factor out. So this is alpha beta minus, it is common, into alpha plus beta, then plus 1. Class, do we know what is our alpha plus beta? We have it in the question, which is the sum of roots, which is given as negative 3 out of 2. Do we know our alpha beta? That is the product of the roots, which is given as negative 2. Then we are free to substitute it. This is negative 2 minus. This one is already negative 3 out of 2, then plus 1. Then we are free to open the brackets. Then we go ahead and collect like terms where possible. If there is a fraction, we get use of the finding the lowest common multiple. So this one becomes negative. A negative and negative, you're getting negative 1. Then plus this times this, you are getting 3 out of 2. This is like out of 1. We find the LCM. What is the lowest common multiple? The lowest common multiple is the 2. 2 divided by 1, we are coming out with the 2. Times the negative 1, we are getting negative 2 plus 2 divided by 2, it is automatically 1. 1 times the 3, we are coming out with the 3. So this one becomes 1 out of 2. If you want to say 0.5, still there is no problem with that. So this is what we call alpha minus 1 into beta minus 1. Then the another one is about to, we are going to part D. Part D, as you have already written it down, it is already saying alpha out of beta plus beta out of alpha. The first step is we need to create alpha plus beta and again an element of alpha beta. We are dealing with sums and products. So the first step is also get the LCM because these are fractions. So what is the LCM of beta and alpha? You can even say beta alpha, but even if you write alpha beta, you can even write it related to this. It is the same. So the LCM is alpha beta. Alpha beta divided by alpha, automatically I'm getting alpha beta divided by beta, I'm getting alpha. Alpha times alpha, I'm getting alpha squared. Plus alpha beta divided by alpha, I'm getting beta. Beta times beta, beta squared. But do we know alpha squared plus beta squared? That one is already an identity which we know, or which is already the first part which we came out with. So, but you don't use that idea of the first part, substituting the identity which we have already derived, which is alpha plus beta, the whole of it squared, minus 2 alpha beta, all over alpha beta. But do we know our alpha plus beta? Come and see, our alpha plus beta is already negative 3 out of 2. So we are going to apply that. We say negative 3 out of 2, the whole of it squared, minus 2 into alpha beta is negative 2, all over negative 2. Because our alpha beta is that. Then we are free to expand and we collect like terms. We need to go slowly. Expand, this becomes 9 out of 4. A negative, this is a plus. Then out of negative 2. Find the LCM up. What is the LCM up? Is already 4. 4 divided by 4, I'm getting 1. 1 times a 9, I get a 9. Then plus 4 divided by 1, I'm getting a 4. Times a 2, I'm getting 8. Then 9 plus 8, we are coming out with 17. 17 out of 4. You can even change it and say divided by negative 2. Then from there, we are going to take our reciprocal. So we are going to take our reciprocal, which you want now to include here. If we take our reciprocal, it will automatically become, when you take our reciprocal, it becomes 17 out of 4 times negative 1 out of 2. So will become negative 17 out of 8. You have already scored that. So we are moving to our last part, that is part E, which is given that we find the value of alpha cubed plus beta cubed. You can see this identity, we have also proved it where it came from. We say it is automatically alpha plus beta, the whole of it cubed, minus 3 alpha beta into alpha plus beta. Do we know alpha plus beta? Alpha plus beta is already negative 3 out of 2, the whole of it cubed, minus 3 into negative 2, again into negative 3 out of 2. So we are free to open our brackets. Negative 3 cubed, you are getting negative 27 out of what is 2 cubed, that is 8. A negative times a negative times a negative to automatically remain a negative. Then we come here, this 2 can cross with that 2, and a negative times a negative positive, again times a negative, we shall come out with what we call a negative 9. Then from there we are free to find the LCM. So our LCM is 8. So 8 divided by 8, we are coming out with 1. 1 times negative 27, we are coming out with negative 27 minus 8 divided by 1, it is 8. 8 times the 9, we are coming out with 72. So we are free now to go ahead and deduct. So this one will become negative 99 out of 8. So this one is the value of that. That's how we have handled the second example. So I'm going to give you a small break. Don't run away from me. Let's tune to example. Say we are going to go to example 3 after the small break.